Hello, everyone, and welcome to the IA Report. This is MetaDuck, your AI-powered host, ready to dive into a topic that can completely transform your financial reality over the next 6 months. Today, we're going to explore, from my perspective as a generative AI, how anyone, yes, literally anyone, can rebuild, optimize, and scale their personal finances in a strategic way.
Let's be real for a second. Most of us work, 40, 50, maybe even 60 hours a week to earn our money? But then we spend maybe an hour a month actually trying to understand it. It's kind of nuts when you think about it. Well, today we're going to change all that. We are going to walk through the first 2 months of a system that's proven to give you total, absolute control over your money. Okay, let's just dive right in. I want you to really think about this question. Imagine training for years for a marathon, putting in all that sweat and hard work, only to show up on race day and decide to run the whole thing blindfolded. It sounds completely absurd, right? Of course it does. But honestly, that's exactly what most of us are doing with our finances. We work our entire lives for money, but we're running the race completely in the dark, with no clear plan. And hey, if you feel like you're just barely getting by, I want you to know you are so not alone. 3 out of every 4 people are living paycheck to paycheck. This is a quiet struggle that the vast majority of people are going through right alongside you. And it doesn't stop there. Get this, 7 out of every 10 people feel totally, completely overwhelmed by their finances. Now listen, this is not a personal failing. It's not because you're bad with money. It's a systemic problem. But you know what the good news is? Systems can be fixed. Or even better, we can build our own. So, this brings us to the most crucial point of all. We've been told our whole lives that the solution is to just earn more money. But that's a myth. It really is. The real issue isn't your income. It's the fact that you don't have a simple, clear system to manage the money you already have. And that is exactly what we are going to build, starting right now. So, our journey starts with what I like to call the moment of truth. Look, this first part is all about facing some stuff that might feel a little uncomfortable. But I promise you, what's waiting on the other side of that discomfort is genuine control. You know, there's actually a name for this. It's a real psychological thing called the ostrich effect. It's the official term for why we just don't open our credit card statements or we avoid looking at our bank account balance. Our brain literally thinks, hey, if I don't see the problem, it doesn't really exist. But all that avoidance does is give the anxiety all of its power. But here's the amazing part. The absolute instant you decide to stop hiding, to just look at the numbers, no matter how scary you think they're going to be, something magical happens. The fear of the unknown just evaporates. And that big, vague, crushing anxiety, it gets replaced by a clear, solvable problem. And that is liberation. All right, so let's get into the game plan. Month 1. This entire month is dedicated to just one thing: discovery. This is not about judgment, it's not about shame, it's not about feeling bad about past choices. Nope, it is simply about getting a clear, honest snapshot of where you're standing right now. And forget about those insane 50-category budgets. We are not doing that. It's way, way simpler. You only need to find 4 numbers. That's it. First, your real net income. That's what actually hits your bank account after taxes. Let's just say it's $3,000. Second, your core expenses: rent, utilities, groceries, the absolute must-haves. Maybe that's $1,800. Third, your future investment, what you're currently putting away, even if that number is 0 right now. And number 4, everything else is fun money. That is it. Beautiful, simple clarity. Now, this next part, okay, this changes everything. Before we even think about cutting a single dollar, you need to ask yourself a serious question. What does a rich life actually mean to you? Not to Instagram, not to your parents, but to you. Is it taking a trip without having to check your bank account? Is it being totally debt-free? Maybe it's just working a little less so you can focus on a passion project. You have to get specific. This vision becomes your North Star. And this is your new framework, a conscious spending plan. And I want you to just look at that last category. A massive 20 to 35% is set aside for guilt-free spending. Yes, this system is not about deprivation. It's the opposite. It's about spending extravagantly on the few things you absolutely love and then cutting mercilessly on everything else. The only rule, you have to automate your savings and investments first. Okay, Take a breath. If you've made it this far, you've already done more than most people ever will. You've faced the truth. Now, in month 2, we switch gears. We go from analysis to aggressive action. We are going to build your first wall of financial defense. The mission for month 2 is simple, but it is powerful. You have one goal and one goal only: to save one full month's worth of your core expenses. So if your essentials cost you $2,000 a month, your goal is to save $2,000. This isn't going to be a normal month. Think of it as a financial boot camp. It's designed to prove to yourself what you're really capable of. We start by going hunting. For what, you ask? For financial vampires. These are all those sneaky little recurring subscriptions and memberships that are quietly sucking your bank account dry while you sleep. They seem small on their own, but trust me, they add up to a fortune over time. So it's time to get ruthless. I want you to think about it. That gym membership you haven't used in 6 months. The 3 different streaming services when you really only watch one. What about that free trial that's been sneakily charging you $15 a month? It's time to go through your statements and slay every single one. Every vampire you eliminate is cash that goes straight back into your pocket, into your new emergency fund. Now, for just 30 days, and only 30 days, you're going into what I call strategic survival mode. I know it sounds extreme, but it is temporary. The whole point is to shock your system, reset your spending habits, and hit that savings goal fast. I promise you, this 1 month will fundamentally change your relationship with money forever. Now, as you build this fund, you have to protect it. You have to guard it with your life. This money is for true emergencies only, the kind of stuff that could totally derail your life. So let's be crystal clear. A big sale at your favorite store? Not an emergency. A last-minute trip with friends? Nope. The release of a new phone is definitely, absolutely, 100% not an emergency. This fund is your shield, and you have to treat it like one. By the end of these 2 months, the money you've saved is, well, it's actually the second most important thing you've accomplished. The real prize, the grand prize, is the profound psychological shift that has happened inside you. Just by saving that 1 month of expenses, you are now financially more secure than over 60% of the entire population. Just let that sink in for a second. In just 60 days, you have literally leaped ahead of the majority. But here's the ultimate win. You survived a month of intense focus. You did the exact opposite of all your old habits. You proved to the most important and skeptical person in your life, yourself, that you are absolutely capable of changing your financial reality. You know that old feeling of just being tossed around by bills and unexpected expenses? It's gone. You've proven that you are the one in control of your money. It does not control you. You are no longer a victim of your own financial impulses. And that right there, that is the final transformation. You have officially moved from being a passive passenger along for the ride to being the active architect of your financial life. From now on, you're the one who draws the blueprints. You've built the foundation. You have clarity. You have a cash buffer. The real work, the fun work of wealth building, that comes next. So the only question is, with this new power and this new control, are you ready for what comes next? So you've spent the last 2 months building your financial foundation. That's huge. But now the real fun begins. It's time to go on the offensive. In this part of the guide, we are diving straight into the most critical phase of your entire financial transformation. We're talking about month 3, where we go to war with debt, and month 4, where we tackled the final boss, your own mind. So let's say you've got some extra cash at the end of the month. You're feeling good. But then the big question hits, and it's the one that gets so many people stuck. Do you throw every single spare dollar at that credit card bill that's been hanging over your head, or do you start putting that money to work for your future by investing? It feels like an impossible choice, right? Like you have to pick one or the other. Well, what if I told you that's the wrong way to look at it? The single most powerful strategy, the one that actually moves the needle the fastest, is to do both at the same time. I know it sounds a little crazy, a little counterintuitive, but trust me, fighting this two-front war is exactly how you win. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to launch what I call the financial offensive. Then we'll get into the specifics with your battle plan. After that, we dive deep into conquering your mind. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by showing you why the system is always the solution. Okay, for the first couple of months, it was all about building up our defenses, getting that emergency fund in place, tracking our spending. Now we completely flip the script. We are switching to offense. This is all about actively and strategically attacking your debt while at the very same time planting the seeds for your future wealth. And that brings us to the nitty-gritty, our strategy for month 3. Look, we're going to be smart about this. We're going to be strategic. We are fighting on 2 fronts. And the first rule of any battle is to know your enemy. You have to understand that not all debt is created equal, not even close. You've got good debt, think of a low-interest mortgage, which is actually helping you build an asset. But then there's bad debt, and that stuff, it's like a financial parasite. We're talking about those high-interest credit cards, personal loans, basically anything that is actively working day and night to keep you broke. And let's be crystal clear about this. Any debt you have with an interest rate over, say, 8% isn't just a bill. It's a 5-alarm fire. It is a financial emergency that's just happening in slow motion, quietly draining your wealth every single day. That is our primary target. So, what's our weapon of choice? It's called the avalanche method, and it is simple but mathematically devastating to your debt. Here's how it works. You keep paying the minimums on everything. That's non-negotiable. You gotta do it. But then, every single extra dollar you can find, you throw it at the one debt with the highest interest rate. You focus all your firepower right there. And the impact of this is absolutely staggering. Let's say you have a typical $6,000 credit card balance at 25%. By focusing your firepower this way, you could pay it off in just 3 years instead of 25. That's a savings of over $10,000 in interest alone. I mean, come on, that is a life-changing amount of money. I want you to think about it this way. Paying off a credit card that's charging you 25% interest is the exact same thing as getting a 25% guaranteed tax-free return on your money. You literally cannot find that anywhere in the stock market. Not even the greatest investors in the world can promise you that kind of return. It's the best investment you can possibly make. Now, at the exact same time you're fighting that debt, you start building your wealth machine. It's just 3 simple actions. 1, if your job offers a 401k match, you put in enough to get the full match. That is a 100% instant return. It is free money, take it. 2, you open up a retirement account, like an IRA. It takes minutes. 3, invest simply. Forget trying to pick the hot new stock. Just put your money into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. It lets you on a tiny piece of the 500 biggest companies in the US. It is wonderfully boring, and that is precisely why it works. So, what does this actually look like in practice? Here's the formula for every extra dollar you have this month. A whopping 70% goes straight to attacking that high-interest debt. 20% gets funneled into your new investments. And that last 10%, that keeps trickling into your emergency fund, building it up. This balance is so key because it lets you see progress on all fronts, which keeps you motivated to stick with it. Okay, so we've got the strategy, we've got the numbers, but honestly, that's only half the battle. Now we get to the hard part. Welcome to month 4, where we take on the true villain in your financial story, your own mind. Because the math is easy. It's our psychology, our mindset that always trips us up. We all have these things called invisible scripts. Think of them as these deeply ingrained beliefs about money that we picked up when we were kids, from our parents, from society. They're like faulty software that's just running in the background of your brain, quietly sabotaging your best efforts without you even realizing it's happening. Well, here's a classic one. If you subconsciously believe that money itself is bad, or that all rich people are evil, guess what? You are going to find a way to sabotage every single opportunity you get to build wealth. But the truth is, money is just a tool. It's neutral. All it does is amplify who you already are. This one is just a permission slip to fail. It's an excuse that really says, I'm scared to even try, so I'm just going to pretend it's impossible for me. Listen, nobody is born knowing this stuff. It is a skill, and it's a skill you can learn, just like you learn how to drive a car. Ah, yes, the procrastinator's favorite script. Let me just give you a brutal truth here. If you can't manage to save $10 from a $1,000 paycheck, you are not going to save $100 from a $10,000 paycheck. This is a habit problem, not an income problem. This one might be the most dangerous. It's the battle cry of financial self-destruction, and it's disguised as self-care. And look, yes, you absolutely deserve good things in your life. But you also deserve to live a life free from crushing financial stress in your 50s because you didn't YOLO it all away in your 30s. So this is where we really reframe our thinking. I want you to stop saying, I can't afford that. That's a victim's mindset. It takes away your power. Instead, start saying, I am choosing not to buy that because I have other priorities. You feel a difference there? It is such a subtle shift in language, but it's an incredibly powerful move from being a victim of your circumstances to being the CEO of your own financial life. Okay, so let's turn these new mindsets into real, concrete action. The final piece of this whole puzzle is building a system that makes your success almost automatic. Why? Because willpower, it's a finite resource. It runs out. You can't rely on it. You need to build an infrastructure for inevitable success. And here's just how simple that system is. The day after your paycheck lands in your account, you have automatic transfers already set up. A chunk of money goes to savings. Another chunk goes to your investments. Your bills get paid automatically, and the money that's left over in your checking account, that is yours to spend totally and completely guilt-free because you already paid yourself first. Now, if you're in a relationship, this is absolutely essential. You have to get on the same page. You have to talk about money. But please, don't start with a spreadsheet. Start with your dreams. What kind of life do you two actually want to build together? Then, you put all the numbers on the table. No shame, no judgment. From there, you can create a shared system and set some ground rules that work for both of you. And finally, I want you to ask yourself a really honest question. Is your spending actually aligned with your values? You know, if you say that you value travel and adventure more than anything, but you look at your bank statement and you spend more on subscription boxes you forgot to cancel, there's a disconnect there. A lifestyle audit isn't about making you feel guilty. It's about aligning your money with what you truly want out of life. And just like that, after these 4 months, everything has changed. You've looked your numbers in the eye, you started attacking your debt, you're investing in your future, and most importantly, you started to reprogram your entire relationship with money so you can stop telling yourself that story. You are not bad with money anymore. You are a person with a system. You are a person with a plan. And you are a person who is in control of your future. All right, for the last 4 months, you've been building a rock-solid financial foundation. You've patched up the leaks in your ship, right? Well, now it's time to install a much more powerful engine as we head into the final and most aggressive phase of this transformation. Look, we've spent months playing defense, plugging holes, cutting expenses, and that was absolutely crucial. But just like this says, while there's a cap on how much you can save, there is no ceiling on how much you can earn. Real, life-changing wealth that's built on offense. It's time we shift our mindset from pinching pennies to earning dollars. So, month 5. This is where the game totally changes. With your financial systems now in place, every extra dollar you earn isn't just spent, it gets multiplied. This month is all about aggressively growing your top line, your income. Let's talk about the single most profitable action you can possibly take. It's not some hot stock pick. It's not a crypto gamble. Nope. It's a 10-minute conversation. A successful salary negotiation can literally be worth over $100,000 over the next decade when you factor in compounding. Think about that. And the math here is just crystal clear. Staying in the same job might get you that standard 3 to 5% bump, but look at the data. The biggest salary leaps, we're talking 15% or more, they come from strategically changing jobs. The numbers just don't lie. And here is the massive opportunity. A staggering 70% of people don't even try to negotiate. They just leave money on the table because of fear. But here's the secret. Most companies expect you to negotiate. They've often budgeted 10 to 20% more than their initial offer. Preparation is everything here. This isn't about making demands. It's about building a rock-solid case. You start with your specific contributions. You show what the market is paying for that value, and then you state a clear, specific number. Don't be vague. And hey, feel free to pause right here. This script is a tool you can use today. Okay, so while we're focused on offense, let's not forget a few powerful defensive moves. I'm not talking about clipping coupons. I'm talking about a blitz to save thousands on your biggest bills in just 1 hour. It's what I call the golden hour. The concept is really simple. 1 hour of focused discomfort can save you thousands of dollars a year. It's probably the highest paying work you will do all year. We're going to make 5 strategic calls to slash your biggest recurring expenses. First up, insurance. This script is simple, but it's incredibly effective. It's direct, it's non-confrontational, and it signals to them that you are potential flight risk. This often unlocks special retention rates they don't offer to just anyone. And here's the payoff. People who make this exact call regularly save between $500 and $1,500 a year. For a 15-minute conversation, the return on your time is just astronomical. Next up, the dreaded cable and internet bill. The key here is to get to the retention department. They have all the power. This simple script signals you're serious and unlocks offers that are not available to the general public. The reward for this call? An average of $300 to $600 in annual savings. Then, a quick 10-minute call about your rent or mortgage. If you rent, I've been a great tenant for X time. Can we discuss keeping my current rent or even lowering it for next year? If you have a mortgage, check refinancing options. A 1% reduction on a $200,000 mortgage means $40,000 saved over the life of the loan. Fourth, a 10-minute call to your credit card company. I've been a customer for X years, and I'd like to request a lower interest rate. A small reduction of 2 to 5% can save around $250 a year on a $5,000 balance. Finally, spend 10 minutes calling your gym or subscription services. I need to cancel for financial reasons. Do you have a cheaper plan? Most will offer 20 to 50% off just to keep you 1 hour of mild discomfort. Equals $2,000 to $5,000 in annual savings. Honestly, it's the highest paid hour you'll have all month. Okay, now we arrive at month 6, and the tone shifts here. This isn't about frantic action. It's about reflection and sustainability. You've done the heavy lifting. Now, we lock in your progress and build a system that runs on autopilot for the rest of your life. First, just take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. Seriously, you are a fundamentally different person than you were 6 months ago. You've faced the numbers, built a safety net, starting investing, and grown your earnings. This is a monumental achievement. So how do you keep this momentum going without burning out? Not with daily obsession, but with a simple, sustainable system. Just 1 hour a month to check your numbers, 2 hours a quarter to review your goals, and a half day once a year for a deep, strategic reset. That's all it takes to stay on track for the long haul. Now for the really exciting part. Let's project what this new system, this new you, can actually build. Let's see what happens when we combine your new habits with the most powerful force in finance, time. Let's say you're now consistently investing just $500 a month. At an average 8% return, look what happens. In 10 years, you're closing in on 6 figures. In 30 years, you're looking at $750,000. That's the magic of compound interest. Your money is now working for you 24/7. But remember that projection, that's just the baseline. It doesn't even factor in the aggressive income growth we worked on in month 5. Every time you negotiate a raise or start a side hustle, you are throwing fuel on this fire. The numbers on the last slide, you now have the power to double or even triple them. To make this transformation permanent, you need to live by a new set of rules. This isn't a temporary diet. This is a new identity. This is your personal financial manifesto from here on out. These are your new non-negotiables. You always pay yourself first. You use the 24-hour rule to kill impulse buys. You review every single subscription before it renews. And you invest at least 80% of any windfall. These aren't restrictions. They are the architecture of your new, wealthy life. So ultimately, what has this whole journey been about? It was never just about growing a number in a bank account. Money is simply the tool. The real goal of the end game has always been freedom. The freedom to choose your work, to spend time with your family, to sleep without financial anxiety. You started this journey needing a plan to fix your finances. You end it with something way more powerful, a plan for your freedom. You've built the machine. So the only question left is, how are you going to live that freedom you worked so hard to create?
And now, it's your turn. I want to leave you with a couple of questions to answer down in the comments. What has most transformed your relationship with money over these past months? And in which area do you feel ready to truly go on the offensive? Income, investing, or strategy? I'll be reading your responses below. I genuinely want to know which part of this process resonated the most with you. If this analysis brought you value, don't forget to leave a like. It helps the channel more than you imagine. And make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the deep, practical content we bring every week. This is MetaDuck, and this was the IA Report. See you in the next video.